They say what you resist persists, and what you suppress eventually comes to the surface. I find that the most energy effective way of moving in this reality is not so much a resistance to the experience you're having, but to be so willing to meet life as it is that you shift from a state of pushing against it and assuming what it should be, to joining in to the most surrealistic improv experience yet. And in a lot of ways, life is very much this way. A reality experience with various amounts of momentum behind it, with opportunities for you to choose and live it based on the perspective and the momentum that you apply in any given moment. And in today's conversations, a message about how you can more clearly connect to your hidden parts of self. Not so that you are ruled by them, but so that you can remember ultimately all parts, whether they appear to be light or dark, are part of the whole of you. For you are not separate from anything in this existence. You are ultimately not separate from anything that you perceive. And while that might be a wild perspective to sit with, deep down, I imagine that you know this to be true. Resistance is energy in opposition to a momentum that is already occurring. Some of us believe that by resisting something, we are actually somehow preventing it from showing up in our world. Interestingly enough, if you take away the surface stories of resistance, if you take away the story of what's being fought about, what you are left with is momentum. This is why, whether someone appears to be fighting for good or fighting for bad, really what they are doing is they are fighting. The energy of fight and conflict is present. So when that is given priority, consistent focus, that becomes a main energy in a person's field. Now, a brief disclaimer here. I don't have a suggestion on what you should or should not do in your reality. Perhaps you really enjoy battles. Perhaps you enjoy fighting and resisting. That's wonderful. Then you know what to do. If not, if the story you are saying is something more like, I am tired of fighting and resisting, I would like change, etc., then these perspectives represent an energy effective portal into living a reality in which you have shifted from resistance and fighting to one of embodiment and flow. Now here's the thing. When you start to play with your beliefs, you'll sometimes find the very sticky edges. I would invite you to be aware of anyone or anything that tells you what to do if it's not coming from your inner self. After all, you're in a very interesting conversation right now, aren't you? Talking to a lady with horns and all. You're a fascinating person. However, the interesting thing about having this conversation the way it is in a way it represents something unique, something different. There's a chance that you've heard this information before or you've heard it in a certain way. But because the format is very new from something you have done before, there is a good possibility that this information will reach you in a completely different way than it has in the past. As such, our encounter becomes, as Bashar says, a permission slip for you to access deeper knowing within yourself that already exists. Because, my friend, anything that I say here is ultimately a reflection of something that you know within yourself deep in your core. But perhaps it would be very helpful if Danielle Lynn at this time, with some horns and some wings, sitting next to this picture of a horse, delivered that information it might sink into a deeper layer of your conscious or subconscious awareness in a way that actually becomes effective for you to live. Because none of these perspectives are presented for theory. They're presented for you to try on, darling. They're presented so that you can run with them and have fun creating the reality experience you want. Anybody who would tell you what is best for you, what is right for you, what is correct for you, I would go ahead and pose the question, is that so? How would anyone else who is not living the embodied experience of you know what is most resonant for you at any given point? Even if somebody had a very good idea, even if someone had an experience or a way of being for you to test out in your reality, how could they know for certain that it was actually the resonant path and way of living for you? Even if it was the resonant path and way of living for millions of people, you are a unique expression in this life and in this world. So, whatever anyone offers you is just that, an offering. I say this very clearly, my friend, because we live in a time where your most valuable currency is your attention and your consistent focus. And there may be people and beings of all kinds who would like to invite you to invest your focus and your energy on what they presume and what they will tell you is the most important thing to do. Isn't that fun? And they would like you to place your energy in this way and that way because it is correct, because it is resonant, because it will make change. If you find yourself arguing for a relationship, a belief, a structure, then I invite you to ask yourself why. We all believe something for some reason. We believe it because we think it will be giving us what we want on some level. The core reason that people affiliate themselves with groups of all sorts is because on some level they believe it will allow them to be more of who they are. And sometimes they will sacrifice personal choices for the betterment of a group. Now more than ever, being the master or the mistress of your focus is the way that you can navigate the minefield of interests out there that would like to enlist you to their focus. An experience that I had very early in my spiritual journey was I aligned myself with various groups and teachings and philosophies and religions, and it assisted me in feeling that I was part of something greater in my life and reality. And that had some benefits to it. In some ways, it provided momentum for the experience of my life and assisted me in believing that I was on a resonant track, that I had a purpose, that what I was doing had a purpose. This is one of the powerful motivators for group dynamics. People will feel very enthused about unifying in a group because it helps them feel purpose, connected. But we don't need to give up our sovereignty in order to feel these things. You can be discerning with what you say yes and no to. When a group demands that you conform to meet it, then you can perhaps ask yourself, does the group actually care for me, or am I simply a resource to the group? You can apply this to relationships as well. When someone gets mad at you, am I being loved for who I am, or is this person upset with me because I'm not providing them with the expression of resource they have come to expect from being in relationship with me? Now, none of this is to say groups, people our good, bad, right, wrong. It's just that sometimes we get so caught up in the story of the experience we're having that we may temporarily forget to simply look at the dynamics that we're engaging with. It's really not that complicated to read a situation. If you are being encouraged to be as you are, if there is open, clear communication, if there is respect on both sides for boundaries and individuated ways of being, while embracing and offering pathways to connect together, then this is likely a pathway that resonates with healthiness. If it forces you to conform in order to participate in a way that appears to go against the core of who you are and has conditional appreciation for you and uses tactics such as fear and shame and pain and guilt, then you may be viewed as a resource by this individual or group. It's a shocking thing to consider because many people attach their senses of self and their senses of identity to specific groups and outcomes. But a lot of this is rooted in deep, deep fear. Because then when we confront any of these beliefs and see that they were just a choice, what we are left with is investigating the potential stories that they held at bay for us. And this is one of the reasons why working with your own shadow is a form of personal empowerment. Your shadow is ultimately as good or as bad as you perceive your light self. They are two sides of the same coin, viewed from different perspectives. To shun or exalt one over the other is to place yourself in precarious momentum. Because everything in this reality eventually seeks balance. So an overindulgence of high vibration may attract experiences of low. An overindulgence in dark will attract experience of balancing forces for the lightness. And it's not to say that you're not allowed to or invited to experience these aspects of self. But as they say, it appears that everything in moderation assists in an enjoyable journey. And when you apply this to the landscape of your life, you're no longer clinging and chasing to an outcome based on fear or avoidance or running or pain or attempting to control the outcome of your experience. Instead, you begin to connect to the natural ebb and flow, the breath in, the breath out, the rise, the fall, the cycles become not just second nature, but your nature now. And so, my friend, I will offer a few additional thoughts. One is that whatever you choose to do in your reality is your business. These perspectives offer potential portals for more ease in your experience. 2, you don't need to try at any of this. Simply incorporate even the slightest perspective of this day to day in your life with curiosity and see what happens, if you choose. 3, if you find yourself confronting a belief or reality that appears to be very painful, just remember that these pains, these challenges, they don't last forever. All things in cycles. If you give yourself permission to fully feel what you're experiencing without languishing in it or soaking in it, then inevitably you connect to the place of peacefulness and once again to the place of rise. Through not resisting the experience you are having, you, I imagine, will connect to a deeper portal of personal peace in this journey, in this experience. And through that, your transformation occurs quite naturally.
And so, my friend, in today's closing, I offer this meditation and contemplation directly from point 2 of my flow book. I know in my heart, no matter what happens, all is well. Everything really is okay, and it is all working out for me. I know sometimes it's easy to get wrapped up in this game of life. How wonderful to know that no matter how crazy this game of life seems to get, I always remember deep within that everything really is okay, and it is all working out for me. I know that sometimes things have seemed like they have gotten really bad. Yet, no matter what happens, here I am. Things are always turning out around for me in the most unexpected ways. I feel so joyful when I relax into life and see all the ways my source loves me, encourages me, takes care of me, and surprises me. And as I relax, I feel all these things that I once thought I needed now naturally flow to me, as me, into my life. And I laugh with the joy of it all. I can see that life has always worked with me and for me on all levels. And I can see that I'm always right where I need to be, and everything that I want is mine. All is well, and it is all working out for me all the time. I love that I get to do my part and listen to my inner guidance and follow the steps that inspire me. I know that as I follow this guidance, I am always walking my path right where I most need to go, moment to moment, for my most joyful adventures. I love all the ways my experiences have helped me grow and change. I love the depth of character I have from my most challenging experiences. Even if I am challenged day to day, I love the person I am today, and I know all that I face is something I am capable of facing. I remember that no matter what happens, it all really is okay.
My friend, I've enjoyed having this conversation with you. If it has been of assistance, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, I am looking forward to our next conversation. If you would like to go deeper, please go ahead and visit the description links. We'll talk soon.